Godzilla is now in New York City.
Monster 01 and 02, commence the attack.
Welcome back to Stomp This Way. We're back this week with another review of an Ultraman property. We're getting closer to the light at the end of the tunnel. Actually, we still have a while. It's a pretty long tunnel.
We still have a few miles to go.
Yeah, we still got about 9 years of Ultraman worth to go. But today we're talking about Ultraman X, the movie. Here he comes! Our Ultraman. It's the full title. Sometimes shortened to Ultraman X, the movie. I also saw it translated, probably just incorrectly, as Ultraman X, Here It Comes, Our Ultraman. But, yeah. Ultraman X, the movie. That's what we're here to talk about.
Yes.
Do you remember much about Ultraman X, the show? I remember, I have a bad memory, but I remember there was something about, like, the digital world and his parents had got, like, teleported to another dimension or something, and
they got turned into coding, basically.
They got turned into, lines of digital code or something, and I think at one point he went in and was able to...
Kind of like they try to be like a Gridman thing going on.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was a fine show. I mean, all these modern age Ultraman shows kind of blend together in my mind, but
this one wasn't like the ones we've had copy and pasted here recently.
Probably not, but...
Aaron has a bad memory. He can't remember anything past 2 days ago.
That's right. I can't. I can't. But anyway, you want a little bit of production trivia on Ultraman X?
Sure.
Well, it was released in celebration of the 50th anniversary of Ultraman. It also celebrates the 20th anniversary of Tiga, which is why Tiga and that one actress from Tiga play pretty big roles in this movie. I talked about this in the last movie, but this was dubbed in English and played as the headliner of a double feature that played across conventions in the US along with Ultraman Ginga S, the movie. The title is derived from the final lyrics of the original Ultraman theme song. Here he comes, our Ultraman. But anyway.
Okay.
There apparently was an idea for evil Tiga to appear and I guess be the bad guy. But it was shot down by the director because it was too similar to the old evil Tiga episode. But
that's fair.
Anyway.
He didn't want to have a extended episode feel.
Well,
he still had kind of one. But,
we'll talk about that. But anyway, box office, I don't have any numbers for you, but it was released March 12th of 2016. You want to listen to a trailer?
Sure.
Well, let's listen to a trailer, and we'll come back. We'll talk all about Ultraman X, the movie. Here he comes, our Ultraman. See you in a bit.
コンタクトまで5、4、3、2、1。
在郷部游撃作戦4、3号開始。
西の巨人ティガの像です。
X、返事をしてくれ。
逃げなさい。嫌だ。絶対嫌だ。
来たぞ、我らのウルトラマン。総員密遇、3体のウルトラマンと連携し怪獣たちを撃滅せよ。
闇を闇に返す力、在郷部を封印する力か。
8人のウルトラマンが人類のために。全ての始まり、光の巨人。フェーズ5発令。
各国の銃に緊急通報。5つの都市でウルトラマンが怪獣と交戦開始。
これがティガとウルトラマンの力。
また会おう X。
劇場版ウルトラマン X、来たぞ我らのウルトラマン。
All right, we're back. This film was directed by Kiyotaka Taguchi, written by Takeo Nakano, Yuji Kobayashi, and Hirotoshi Kobayashi. Effects by Tomonobu Koshi, music by Takao Konishi, and starring, bear with me here,
Oh goodness.
Kinsuke Takahashi, Akane Sakanoe, Yoshihiko Hosoda, Yukio Matsumoto, Hayato Harada, Haruko Momokawa, Takeru, just one name, Takeru, Ohiaki Sashimo, Sorara, some H, Suki Fune, and Yu Tamiyo.
That's our favorite section of the show, Aaron trying to say names.
Me butchering Japanese names, yep. I apologize. Well, despite a lack of plot in this movie, I still wrote an essay for a plot summary, so
It didn't have a lack of plot, it just had a very surface level plot.
sure. Buckle in. After picking up strange readings from an archaeological site, the Zio, is that right? XIO? Zio crew? The Zio crew heads out to a newly discovered pyramid to investigate. There they meet Professor Tamaki and her son Yuto. Things take a bad turn when the TV archaeologist Carlos Kurosaki arrives and uses explosives to blow open the pyramid. Inside, they find a stone statue of Ultraman Tiga, as well as a blue orb called the Jasper Stone. When Kurosaki removes the stone, the evil kaiju Zygorg emerges. Daichi transforms into Ultraman X and fights the new monster, but is quickly defeated. Worse, his devisor he uses to transform is infected by Zygorg, and he and X are unable to unite. Kurosaki takes the Jasper Stone back to its headquarters while Tamaki and Yuto go back to the Zio base. Yuto meets Professor Gorman and reveals that he picked up a relic that looks like Tiga's spark lance. The spark lance seems to react to Daiichi's divisor, which Gorman is also working on fixing, and back at Kurosaki's headquarters, the Jasper Stone glows as well. Asuna and Tamaki go to Kurosaki's building to confront him as Zygorg also approaches, but Kurosaki is unwilling to give up the stone. Zygorg attacks and Kurosaki and Tamaki are trapped in the debris. Yuto sees these events on a live stream and convinces Rui to take him to his mom. They take the spark lance and the divisor with them. Having failed to stop Zygorg with Cyber Gamora, Daichi and the Zio crew regroup at Kurosaki's headquarters. Daichi, Asuna, and Yuto find Kurosaki and Tamaki, but they are unable to free Tamaki from the beam that has fallen on her. Just as Zygorg is about to bring the roof down on their heads, Yuto suddenly gains superhuman strength and throws the beam to the side. He then uses the spark lance to transform into Tiga. The light from the spark lance and Jasper Stone being brought together also fixes Daiichi's divisor, so he transforms into X. Finally, the Jasper Stone summons the original Ultraman. Zygorg, having summoned a Golza and an Antlar, does battle with the Ultraman. With the help of the Zio crew, Golza and Antlar are defeated, but Zygorg proves too powerful. Zygorg summons 5 more kaiju, and things are beginning to look bleak. However, Gorman is able to complete the Tiga and Ultraman cyber cards and sends them to X, who uses them to change form and free Tiga and Ultraman from Zygorg's grasp. The light of the Jasper Stone also summons forth Zero, Max, Nexus, Victory, and Ginga from Gorman's cyber card collection, and they go across the globe to fight Zygorg's other kaiju henchmen. The Ultramen are all victorious, and Zygorg is destroyed. With the battle over, Yuta returns to human form, and X reveals to Daichi that he is returning to M78 with Ultraman, promising to return when Earth is once again in danger. Sometime later, back at the base, the Zio crew is missing X when suddenly he returns to the divisor as a new threat approaches the planet. Whew.
That was a journey.
That was a. I'm gonna clean that up in editing, but yeah, that was
What you didn't hear was Aaron messing up like every 5 seconds.
every other sentence. I was like, stop, start, stop, restart. Oops. Well, anyway.
So that'll be about a 10-minute cutout there.
There's gonna be some editing in the editing room, but anyway, yeah, that's the plot of Ultraman X, the movie. So the movie starts with about a 6.5 minute recap of the show, which I was appreciative for because, like I said, I just kind of had vague memories of the show. Now they don't cover all the deep, like the recap doesn't cover the stuff with his parents at all, and a bunch of other subplots in the show, but it gives you, you know, shows you like his first time transforming into Ultraman, his first battle, and then like their final battle that they had where they defeated the bad guy or whatever, and kind of just kind of gets you refamiliar with the faces of the
Kaiju.
Zeo crew,
I think it's Exio.
Exio crew, whatever. It's XIO. That's how it's spelled.
Were you saying Zio?
Zeo,
That's would be spelled with a Z. I O.
Exio, Exio.
Exio.
Well, like Xavier is X.
Xavier.
Zeo sounds like a Z.
Xavier is Xavier.
No, it's Xavier. The school, like not the X-Man, but the actual school in America is Xavier. There's no like X Xavier. Anyway, we're spending way too much time on this. The point is, there's a recap. The runtime is 71 minutes and some change, but 6.5 minutes is just like a recap.
And the doctor guy explaining Ultraman.
Yeah, then we cut. I thought the recap could have been edited together a bit more because I kind of got confused. At one point, it's like, oh, that was the end of the recap. And then it's like, oh, no, it's still going. But then we cut to, a like this visualization of this story that Dr. Gorman, their alien scientist, is like talking about how, when he was a kid, he loved the original Ultraman or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so then we finally get into the plot of this movie. And basically, as I said, we're going to have the Exio crew go because they picked up some strange readings from this new archaeological site. And they're going to meet the woman who played, what was her character's name in Tiga? Do you remember off the top of your head?
No.
No, you don't. I think it's Akane Sakanue. Hold on.
And her son.
Oh, sorry. It's Takami Yoshimoto, who played Reina in the original Tiga series. That's right. How could we forget her name? But
Yeah. Her and her son are
yeah,
archaeologist. Well, she's an archaeologist.
yeah,
And
she's
her.
an archaeologist.
And
Now, I've stated before that I've never thought she was a great actress, and she's gonna be doing this whole bit in this movie where she's like really clumsy and she's always falling and losing her glasses, and
and she only really does that one time.
she does it at least twice.
She does it.
She does it at the beginning.
She does it
She
once in
falls
the.
in the
She
cave,
does it once in the cave,
and
and
then
in the building where she falls, and
yeah.
that's the only 2 times she ever
Well,
does
the
it.
movie's only 70 minutes long, so we can't spend too long with
And
any one bit.
they act like she's like constantly falling, and it's really bad. And she's like,
Well, her son says at one point she has a bad habit of falling down or something.
when we only see her like fall down like 2 times.
But she's supposed to be. We get the idea she's very ditzy and clumsy, and
And she takes her son everywhere with her.
yeah. I'm assuming she's a single mother. I don't know where the dad is, but
Yeah.
and he takes her along on her digs, and he's like he always is thinking that he's collecting treasure, but he just picks up random
Stuff.
objects, junk.
Until
But
he actually finds the actual artifact with Tiga's.
yeah, he accidentally finds Tiga's spark lance or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, but we're gonna get there, and we're quickly gonna be introduced to those two, and then we're also gonna be introduced into this like I guess he's like a TV show host that does like fake archaeology stuff, and
I think he's a real archaeologist, just, in name only.
he's like an archaeologist, but he does like a
TV show.
like like one of those really bad History Channel shows or something where
He's not a good archaeologist.
and he's gonna blow open the opening to the door to this pyramid or whatever they found,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna have a bit of a bad Indiana Jones rip off moment where they go in and they bring this little kid inside, even though they have no idea what's in this pyramid, and
To be fair, the guy that bring civilians in there with him, Kamaku.
his camera crew. Well, yeah, but they're the camera crew. They know what they signed up for. But
So
anyway,
did the kid.
yeah, they find this blue orb. I think they call it the Jasper Stone.
Yeah.
And there's some inscription in a stone tablet next to it about driving out the darkness or something.
Mm-hmm.
Return to darkness or something. Of course, just like any good Indiana Jones movie, he removes the artifact,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Nobody can stop him because he owns the land.
yeah, he's bought the land or whatever.
And I'm not sure how legal that is to buy like a historical site.
Well, I guess it depends if he already owned the land and then they found the historical site on it. I
No,
don't
he
know.
says he bought the land.
I don't know,
That's it.
but
But
maybe the
what-
government hadn't had time to file the appropriate paperwork, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, he takes it. And of course, then the cave starts to collapse in, and then a monster appears, Zygorg.
Like,
And Daichi, one thing I do kind of like about this movie is that by this point in the show, everybody already knows that Daichi is Ultraman. In fact, one thing that's kind of unique about this show is that, or this movie at least, I don't remember at what point they started doing this in the show, but everybody on the like Ultraman X communicates through this device. They call it the divisor. It's like this little
yeah.
like communicator
The
thing they had clipped to their belt.
Mhm.
And he can talk to, and he communicates with everybody on the team. Like he basically fat shames one of the girls at
Yeah,
the
because
beginning.
she's like, because he's like, "You're always saying something about going on a diet, but this has this many grams of sugar and
Yeah.
fat in
Yeah.
it."
So, but anyway, so he just turns into Ultraman, and of course gets his butt kicked, and then the divisor gets like it gets infected by Zygorg. It's got like
Mhm.
these red
Like,
vines twisted
it
around it
kinda
or
looks
something.
like the upside down vines from Stranger Things.
Yeah, it does. It does. But anyway, so yeah, so then everybody runs away, and the kaiju goes on a rampage, and you know,
Usual things.
the usual stuff.
Mhm.
And then we're gonna have kind of the second act where they go back to their base, and he's trying to fix the divisor, but it's deteriorating, and
Mhm.
the kid meets Dr. Gorman. I will say I don't remember a whole lot about the crew in this show. And this movie, of course, doesn't have time to like spend a
And
lot of
and
time with the characters, but
and it came out pretty soon after the show.
yeah, this is one of those like it was released right after the show. But I do like Dr. Gorman. He's an alien.
Mhm.
His assistants are kind of annoying, but he's
Especially that girl. I remember that girl from the show. She's
yeah,
annoying.
Rui. Yeah, she is a bit over the top.
But he is a cool dude.
Yeah.
He makes, like, the cards that they
Yeah, there's like this
use.
there was this whole bit in the show that's not really explored that much in this movie, but where they like try to create these cyber monsters that they could
Mhm.
control. And so they have like Cyber Gamora and Cyber Birdon or
Mhm.
whatever.
And they could use them also in their weapons to, use the powers of them.
Yeah. It's like a Power Ranger thing.
Yeah.
but But yeah, so you tell me Dr. Gorman and like puts all this junk on the table thinking it's artifacts, but he actually does have the spark lance and
The doctor was like, Can I see that for a
can I see
second?"
that? He's like, oh.
Oh.
and anyway, meanwhile, Carlos has gone back to his communications building,
Yeah.
his headquarters.
He has a
He's got a
pretty nice building.
nice
I
building.
wonder
Or
if I wonder if he rents a place in the building.
maybe, I don't know.
I don't know, but because they were on the first floor, weren't they?
Yeah, I don't know. For someone to be seems to be struggling in the ratings, he's got a nice building, but nice office, but
He's losing to the cute animals in television.
yeah. Hawaii, I'm losing to a Shino Eva. Emu. Anyway, but there is kind of a funny bit where he's filming like a bit, and he's got like all these pretty girls gathered
Mhm.
around his desk with this orb, and I mean, his bit's
Yeah.
kind of entertaining, I guess. But anyway, Tamaki and Asuna are gonna go in and like demand the orb back,
Mhm.
while like Daisuke, even though
Daichi
Daichi
crazy.
and crew are like sending Cyber Gamora to try to stop Zygorg, and
Yeah.
he got like this whole shield contraption built and everything, and
Shield thing, and they have their planes and stuff.
yeah, and of course it fails, and Cyber Gamora is destroyed, and
Mhm.
all that.
Well, these
Well, dematerializes, but they can
dematerialize.
rematerialize it, but whatever. And then Zygor goes to this building because it's looking for that orb. And I will say one thing is like usually kaiju just like one swipe they destroy a building. It takes Zygor a long time to bring down this building for
Ah,
whatever reason.
yeah.
But of course, then you have the whole bit where Tamaki, they're all chasing around the orb, and then
Mhm.
Tamaki gets like trapped in the debris as the Zygorg's attacking this building, and then Carlos was gonna leave her behind, but then he feels bad, so he goes back
He's
and
not a heartless human being.
completely heartless person and tries to save her, but he throws out his back, and
Yeah.
then meanwhile, back at the base, Yuto is like live streaming all this, and he's like,
Mhm.
"I gotta go save my mom," and blah blah blah, even though it's totally like not safe.
Yeah.
Rui is gonna take this little kid into a war
Well, the
zone.
doctor tells her to.
Yeah. Well, the Zeo crew is going to take this little kid
Mm.
with one of their untrained field agents,
Yeah.
non-field agents.
That even Ultraman X even like, "You suck at driving this thing."
Yeah, she's got Ultraman X. He's sort of
A
fixed.
navigator. He's like the navigator.
Yeah.
When she
It's
tells him
like
to
the
shut up,
GPS system, yeah.
she tells him to shut up, and he just goes like,
Turn
"Turn
left
left,
in 1 kilometer.
and you should be near your destination."
But anyway, so they get there and Yuta runs in and and I guess by this point Daichi is right there too and they run in and they can't lift the thing off his
Mhm.
mom, but he's got the spark lance in his backpack
Oh,
and
yeah. It gives him super strength because his willpower
yeah. Yeah,
powers it.
basically
Mm.
they make like a big deal about the divisor like deteriorating and
It doesn't
but
it
then it's like a super easy fix like the kid just gets emotional and fixes
yeah.
everything because
It's
he
like
has
even before that,
emotions.
they weren't that concerned. The doctor was like, "Oh, yeah, I've almost fixed it."
Yeah. But, again, it's only 70 minutes, so they don't
Yeah.
have time to dwell on these things for very long, but,
Mhm.
yeah, then the kid just pulls out the spark lance and transforms into Tiga
Mhm.
because, for whatever reason, the guy that played Daigo had decided he was never gonna work in these again, so they can't bring him back to celebrate the 20th anniversary, so they're gonna
Yeah.
have this kid transform into Tiga, and then this fixes the divisor for reasons, so then Daichi turns into X, and then because we have basically a 20-minute episode plot that we've got to stretch out for an hour. We're gonna have a very prolonged final battle sequence where,
Oh, yeah, and the orb,
yeah, the Jasper Stone, for reasons unexplained really,
turns
turns
in
into that classic red ball that the old school Ultraman traveled in,
mhm,
and there's
turned in
Ultraman,
turned into Ultraman.
and then or before this maybe Zyger Zy what did I say his name was?
Zygo?
Zygorg
Zygorg?
had summoned like he can turn his spikes into other monsters, so he summoned like a
Like miniature clones of himself throughout the world.
well, no, before that he summoned like the Antlar and the what was the other one?
Beetle guy.
Golza. And so there's three monsters for three Ultraman to fight, and they all get
Mhm.
to fight, and the Zeo crew is helping out, and there's a pretty good fight sequence, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And I really appreciate like the fact that they're fighting in model cities and all that. And anyway, they are able to defeat Antlar and Golza, and it looks like X has defeated Zygorg, but fake out, he's still
Mm.
alive. And then he like wraps his tentacles around Tiga and Ultraman and starts absorbing their light.
Yeah.
And X can't do anything,
And
but
then he sends out his spikes.
yeah, and he's got like five, like you said, kind of like I don't know what their official title is, but five like miniature versions of him because they didn't have five other monster suits they
Mm.
could use at the moment. I guess they just had one. But just in the nick of time, Gorman finishes the cyber cards for Tiga and Ultraman, and he sends them to X, and that repowers him, and he's able
Yeah.
to get a cool sword. And I
Then
will
he
say, this was right in the middle of that era of Ultraman where the transformations and the power ups were really obnoxious toy commercials.
mhm.
And he's got to like, you got to see him get the new thing and then plug it into the thing and
And
then
then, do his
swipe it up to power it up and then get each like new plastic piece of armor on his
yeah.
body. And
And then, 5 other cards show up and summon the other, like, 5 Ultraman to the 5 other places with
yeah,
the
because
other
this is a big 50th anniversary
mm,
event, we've got to have, for reasons, once again, just kind of vague,
mhm,
these cyber cars that Gorman have also get empowered to summon their real
mhm.
counterparts. So because the suits they had available that were in working condition were Zero, Max, Nexus, Ginga, and Victory. So
Yeah.
that's who we get.
That's who we get.
And of course they go to I did like the bit where like the evil kaiju like appeared in five different places and it was like Sweden and Shanghai and one of
Argentina.
them was Dallas, Texas. And you see him destroy the Dallas freeway, which
Yep.
needs to be destroyed. But anyway, and then the Ultraman go across the globe and fight
Mhm.
him, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then at that point, it's a pretty easy victory. Each individual Ultraman blows up his respective monster.
Yeah.
And
Then they're like, "We'd leave the rest of you, X."
yep, because they all like turn and I guess just talking to empty space, but they're talking to X.
Yeah.
And then X gets like this bow and arrow thing, and
Well, Tiga and
Ultraman.
Ultraman give him like all his like their like light powers.
Yeah.
Mm,
And he gets like this arrow that powers up and then blows up Zyborg.
yeah. Now it's like makes like an X through his chest.
Yeah, it does the X because it's Ultraman X. And and then yep, that's pretty much the end. And then I guess to make this seem more serious, because it hasn't been a very serious movie. I will say this movie is pretty like light in tone. There's a lot of jokes with like Rui and that crew, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of jokes with the Tamaki and being clumsy and
Yeah.
stuff. And but they're gonna have, for reasons, X is gonna decide to go back with Ultraman to continue to bring balance to the galaxy and all
To
this.
the
And it's like this,
universe.
what,
To the
the
universe.
universe, whatever. And then it's like this big emotional moment, which they immediately upend because the very next scene they're standing around their little strategy table, and
Mhm.
it's like, it's kind of boring without X around here. And then he immediately comes back to the divisor,
And Pat saves
and
that
Pat
one
shames the
girl.
chick again. And then and then there's a new threat because he
Yeah.
said he'd come back if Earth was under threat again, and then now there's a
Something
new
came
threat.
through the portal.
Yeah, and it's heading to Earth, and cut to credits. So yeah,
Yeah. And
I don't
then,
know why they went through that whole depart thing if he's just gonna come right back, but whatever.
throughout the series and the show, they had these two like desk worker people that they hardly ever shown, but they just there.
Yeah, I mean, like they were in almost every episode, but they just sat at the desk and never really got character arcs or
They had
anything.
very little lines. They just sit there.
But yeah, that's the movie. I mean, listen, this one kind of is one of those that's kind of got, to me at least, an extended episode feel. This is kind of like TV archaeologists
Mhm.
blowing up a artifact and awakening a monster. Feels like a plot that you would get in one of those 20-minute episodes. And then they've thrown in a few extra characters and a couple of small subplots, and then a
Yeah.
really extended battle sequence,
Mhm.
and then this kind of fake goodbye at the end to get this to an hour runtime, plus the recap so that they could call this a movie. But
Mm.
but at the same time, I'd say there's nothing particularly offensive. Like it delivers. It's got all the kaiju action you could want. It's got some funny antics. It's got pretty much everything that you would expect from a new age Ultraman show. Not a lot of character development or anything like that, and nothing too serious happens. And there's a lot of just kind of like vague, like we need to get from plot point A to plot point B, so this is going to happen for reasons, and you're going to accept it.
Mhm.
And then yeah, but it's whatever.
Is what it is.
It is what it is. You want to talk about creature design?
Sure.
Well, let's talk about Ultraman X. So he is an Ultraman. He's got a somewhat unique design. He's got like an X on his chest,
Yeah.
obviously. And then he's got like these like almost like earphone things on his ears. But
He's all right looking.
I don't mind the design of Ultraman X. I could more or less pick him out of a lineup, mostly just because of the X on his chest.
Yeah.
We have Zygorg, which is like, I don't know, pretty much every like evil dinosaur kaiju you've seen.
Ever seen.
He's got like a club for one hand, I think.
Yeah, the clubbed hand.
And then he's got, kind of like the dinosaur, like reptilian skin and
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff. And he's got
Red.
like these spikes that come out of his back and he can shoot and do stuff.
He's red.
He's red. And then of course, we have Antlar appears. He's like the beetle-like kaiju.
That flies.
And then the Golza or whatever, which is another like dinosaur-like kaiju.
Mhm.
And then we have the other like 5
Miniature versions of
of Zyborg that look a lot
Zyborg.
like him, just
Mhm.
kind of smaller with less spikes. And we have all the classic Ultraman who look the same as they always have. I will
Yep.
say, one thing I do love is like their absolute devotion to every time that the classic Ultraman takes a step, they use the old school footstep sound, footfall sound.
Yeah.
I mean, almost every time, which cracked me up because then you
Okay.
have like the modern sound design with the other Ultraman, but then him, it's like that old Showa era sound. which I loved it.
And
But
he looks so cool.
he's so cool, so cool. But anyway, and then effects, the effects in this movie are fine. I will say one thing I appreciate about this movie is they don't rely a whole lot on CGI. It's
No.
all practical suits, and a lot of the fighting takes place in the actual model city, more so than I think many of the last recent Ultraman movies we've reviewed. So, and I think they do a good job with bringing down the buildings and the pyrotechnics and all that kind of stuff, and even the aerial battle scene. I mean, it looked a bit rough in parts, but I thought they did a good job of making it feel kinetic and stuff. So, props to them. No
Mhm.
bad effects to really distract from the movie. And then the score. I will say I really like the way they integrated like the themes for Tiga and the original
Mhm.
Ultraman into the final battle
Yeah.
sequence as they're fighting Golza and Antlar.
When it showed them fighting, it was on their theme.
Yeah.
Each one of them had their own fights, then they had their own themes to their fights.
Yeah. And then the X theme is, I mean, it's not my favorite theme song ever, but it functions.
It functions just
So,
perfectly.
yeah, the music in this movie is fine. But yeah, final thoughts?
Final thoughts?
Why don't you go for it?
Like I said, this movie is not terrible. It has a more of an extended episode feel than the last few we watched, but I still can find enjoyment in it. It serves pretty well. The acting in it is pretty decent. They acted just as well they did in the X TV show, and I like the probably the doctor person was one of my favorite characters. Also in that show, the
Yeah.
alien doctor. They don't have many aliens in the crews of Ultra people on the Ultra teams.
No, I mean, they've tried to do more of that in recent Ultraman shows.
They had
Either an
the
alien or a robot.
yeah, like the U-Bot was the one that was just the newest TV show was on there.
Yeah.
But I like it was one of the first times they tried to put an alien in the human crew. I thought they did a pretty decent job with that, and the score on this movie pretty good. It's all the old Ultraman theme songs and stuff, so you can't go wrong with that.
Hmm.
Hmm. Effects are pretty decent. Not much CGI. Only CGI was really when they had their planes going
Yeah.
around.
And they merge the vehicle. They have like this thing where they merge their vehicles with their little fighter jet things.
Yeah,
And
and go around with them
yeah.
and stuff. But that wasn't the worst things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And the monsters in this movie are pretty cool. They're all monsters. Well, not all. The two of the monsters we've already seen before, and then the new big bad of this movie were pretty cool designed.
Yeah.
I didn't think they'd skimped out too much on how he looked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll give this movie. I'll give it a. I'll give it a C. Middle of the road.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, this is one of those. This is kind of like, you know, they have to do with every one of these new Ultraman. They have 25 episodes in a movie. And a lot of times the movie just kind of feels like an episode plot that they didn't fit into the show, but they're like, well, we got to have a movie. So let's expand this out for an hour and make a movie out of it. And, appreciate the fact that they're, celebrating the 50th anniversary. They bring back, and the 20th anniversary of Tiga. They bring back some actors from Tiga. They bring back Tiga and the original Ultraman and gave them big parts in the final battle and their themes. I will say one of the great crimes, one of the great travesties in the whole Ultraman franchise is that they no longer have the rights to Take Me Higher, which in my opinion is still the best Ultraman opening theme, but it's not on any of the official releases
Did
because
they
of
ever have the rights to it?
whatever rights whatever rights issues because I mean, I think I've probably said this in a podcast before, but the I can't remember the actor's name, but the guy that played Daigo was also in the band that sung that "Take Me Higher" song, and his, like, agency apparently is, like, notoriously difficult to work with, and yes, anyway, Super Riot lost the rights to the song, so on any of the official releases, you don't hear the original "Take Me Higher" opening theme for Tiga, it's a new song that they've put over the intro, and it's not a bad song, but we luckily watched Tiga before any of the official Mill Creek releases, so we had to watch like, the bootleg YouTube version, which still had the original Take Me Higher opening
Mhm.
theme. And I love that song. But anyway, rant aside, I like that
Mhm.
they bring back old songs from the old shows. I love the old school sound effects they use with the original Ultraman. There's like this gun that they have that Daichi has that like shoots like the old classic specium ray type beam or whatever. So I love that stuff. But at the end of the day, this does feel like an extended episode, and you know, there's no real like cinematic feeling to this movie. I feel about this movie like I feel about your pretty average episode of Ultraman, which is like, I'm glad I watched it, but I don't really feel the need to watch it again. I mean, we watched it a second time, obviously, for this podcast viewing, but yeah, I'm with you. This is kind of a middle of the road. This is like a C. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, I feel like I'm getting harsher on these as we go along, but anyway, you want some news? Got a little
Sure.
bit of news. This is some Kaiju number 8 news I thought I would share. I said the second season I think is coming this July. It did receive 16 Crunchyroll Anime Award nominations, including a nomination for Anime of the Year, a nomination for Best Animation, and a nomination for Best Anime Song. Side note, I think voting for the Anime Awards is open from like April 5th through April 12th or 14th or something like that. So you can go to crunchyroll.com and vote for the Anime Awards. I did vote. Full disclosure, even though this is a Kaiju podcast, so I'm talking about Kaiju number 8. I didn't vote Kaiju number 8 for anything, I don't think. Maybe best. I think I voted for One Republic for best outro or something, but I think that's the only one I voted for Kaiju number 8. I think I voted Frieren for most of it.
Wow.
This feels like a year where I think the major categories are going to be kind of split between Frieren and Solo Leveling.
Yeah.
So everybody else just kind of get out of the way. But I hope there's not a lot of recency bias with Solo Leveling, because I voted Frieren for most everything because I love Frieren. That's my favorite new anime of the year. One of my favorite anime ever. I know a lot of people love Solo Leveling, but
Yeah.
controversial take. I think it's merely fine, but whatever.
Well, there goes our ratings.
There goes our audience. What little audience we had left, huh? But anyway, I'm sorry. Getting back to Kaiju number 8, the movie Mission Recon, which is kind of I think a recap movie with like a special episode tagged on to the end, will be in theaters April 13th, 14th, and 16th. So if you have a theater nearby that's going to get it and you're interested, mark those dates down. But and then also, again, since we're going to G Fest, I will say that they've announced another guest, Shinichi Wakasa, who developed almost all the suits, the Godzilla suits from the movies between 93 and 2004. So exciting.
Yeah.
Exciting. But what's coming up on this podcast, Andrew? What do we have coming up on the
Not any
schedule?
more Tremors movies. We're
No more
finished with
Tremors.
those.
What are we gonna do without Tremors, Andrew?
Next week, I think, is the Iron Giant.
We do have an exciting one coming up next week. The Iron Giant. That's a film that I remember as a little kid. I watched it on like repeat, but it's not a movie that I've seen in
years.
many years. So I'm very excited to go back and revisit that. So that'll be next week. And I did read the novel. It's like a very short children's story from the 50s. And I will discuss that and the differences between the movie and the book. And then we're going to come back to Ultraman with Ultraman Orb, the movie. And then we'll be reviewing Big Ass Spider. And then for the month of May, we'll be doing Ultraman Geed, the movie. Then Dinosaurs, Lost World 25 version and the 1960 version. And then Jurassic Park. The first Jurassic Park will be our last episode in May. So look forward to all that stuff. And other than that, you can always contact us at StomPThisWay1954@gmail.com.
And you can find our website at www.stompthisway.wordpress.com.
That's right. And you can also find us on Facebook at Stomp This Way. So anyway, next week, Iron Giant. I encourage you to revisit it if you haven't seen it in a while and tune in to hear our review. But other than that, I'm Aaron.
I'm Andrew.
And we'll see you next time.